Predator Schmeditor. Give me a break, guys. Are we really concerned about this thing now? It's 2022. We have so many other things to... Okay, I take it back. What's going on, everyone? James here with another real review, and today I'm bringing you my spoiler-free thoughts on Prey, the next film in the Predator franchise, and guys, it's so good. A huge thank you to 20th Century Studios for giving me the chance to watch this early full review, and you can catch it on Hulu this Friday, August 5th. And when you watch it, let me know down below in the comments exactly what you think of this movie, guys. I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on this, especially from fans of the franchise. Now, guys, before we get into my review, if it is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I love talking about movies, TV, and all the news in between. So if you do too, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and tap on that bell, guys, for more reviews like this. And yes, you know what? Go ahead and let me know which Predator movie is your favorite. And if anyone says Predator 2, I'm gonna start thinking twice about you. Alrighty, y'all, so let's get into who's directing the movie, who's in it, and what it's about. It's directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who directed 10 Cloverfield Lane, one of my favorite movies of that year. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. This movie starring Amber Midthunder, Dakota Beavers, and Dane DiLiegro. And yes, this is a prequel film in the Predator franchise, so before the first Predator. Literally, it's back in 1719, y'all. It's many years before that Predator movie, but the actual premise of this works very well. It's the story of a young woman named Naru, a fierce and highly skilled warrior who has been raised in the shadow of some of the most legendary hunters who roam the Great Plains. So when danger threatens her camp, she sets out to protect her people. And that danger's name is Predator. Yeah. You know what, guys? Let's waste no more time and get right into my positives, because the list is lengthy. If I'm being completely honest with you guys, this is the best Predator movie in the franchise and a film that I love. I mean, Dan Trachtenberg just does an incredible job at taking the reins, honoring the first film, while still creating a very unique, grounded experience. The pacing was incredible, but I know that Dan Trachtenberg does a really good job at taking previous concepts and really stripping them down to a ground level while still maintaining the essence of the property. He did that so well in 10 Cloverfield Lane, which if you didn't know about Cloverfield, you wouldn't know it was a Cloverfield movie until the end, but it works. So I love that he can play in this sandbox while still being very creative and adding his own touch to the film. I mean, from the very first frame, I just felt that Prey was going to be a completely different take on this franchise, and after the many sequels and spin-offs, the prequel was definitely a breath of fresh air. And trust me, we needed that breath of fresh air. Now, most of the people I think watching this review are going to ask, do I need to watch the other Predator movies? And my answer to that is just the first movie. You don't have to watch any of the others, no sequels, no spin-offs, because it will add a lot of context to some scenes in Prey, and it does add that emotional weight as well, so I do think it's a necessary watch before you dive into Prey, but if you don't, it's okay. I think you'll still enjoy Prey as a standalone film. There are also some really cool callbacks to the original movie here that made me smile. Now, when it comes to the cinematography, y'all, Jeff Cutter does an amazing job at really embracing the fact that they get to shoot on location, and there are these sweeping establishing shots that just work wonderfully. Whether it be at night or with the sun setting, I love the way he's able to frame certain moments in this movie, and it adds this very realistic touch to the film that is otherwise, well, it's relying on CGI for the Predator and sometimes practical effects, but for the most part, you have to sort of maybe turn your brain off and understand, okay, I know this is a CGI bear or CGI wolf, but it's working for me because of how everything else is so darn realistic. There's not much green screen or any green screen at all, at least that I could notice, so it just works for me. And then there's the score by Sarah Schagner, and I thought it was really good, but it became excellent for me in the third act. There are these pulse-pounding moments between Naru and the Predator, and it just, it made my heart sing, even though it was palpitating because of, well, how intense these scenes were. But for the most part, Sarah Schagner just nails it on every level with her music. But speaking of Naru, you guys, in this cast, I gotta say, I was blown away by Amber Midthunder's acting. This is the very first time that I've seen her in a project as a lead, whether it be in film or TV. I didn't watch Roswell, but man, I just want to see more of Amber Midthunder in anything because, my gosh, she's excellent here. There's a lot of nuance in her performance in Prey, where she plays, yes, Naru, a member of the Comanche Nation in 1719. There's a lot of undertones as well, and I love the way that they developed her character, because she's a young hunter, she's a woman who wants to become a hunter in a tribe that pretty much frowns upon that and says, nah, you good, just go cook. And that is awful, yes, I mean, they actually bring that specific point up, but I love the fact that she's out there trying to prove herself, and it just adds to this very relatable character that I felt we got to know from start to finish. And throughout the film, she's also longing for her Kutamiya, which is basically her great hunt, and you can put 2 and 2 together, guys. It becomes the Predator. But Amber Midthunder really just knows how to take this performance in this role into another gear, and by the end I was already clapping, cheering, close to tears. It was just a lot of emotions for this character, and I was just rooting for her completely. I also love the dynamic relationship of Naru and her brother Taabe, who's played by Dakota Beavers. Now, he does a really good job at not always being in the lead role. He's not in the spotlight as much as Naru, but man, Taabe is a character who you understand, yes, is trying to be cool with his bros, but he's also the older brother that cares for his sister and actually stands up for her in the midst of all this bullying that sometimes Naru is victim of, and I really love their relationship. Oh, and then there's Naru and her tracking dog, Sadi. I mean, this dog just melted my heart. What more is there to say? It's a dog, it's cute, and it was amazing. Now, let's move on to the next point here, because guys, you can't have a Predator movie without literally talking about the Predator, and guess what? It's excellent here. DiLiegro plays Predator, and honestly, while there are many moments of CGI for our Predator and a lot of other animals, it does go practical sometimes, and when it does, I loved how Dane DiLiegro played the character. We get our first appearance of Predator really early on in this movie, and that is a pleasant surprise to me, because I thought it was going to go for a more slow burn approach, and we only get Predator maybe in the second act, and they tease us with this character's presence, but hey, it was known pretty much right off the bat. And there is no doubt in my mind that this is the most menacing and fierce portrayal of any Predator in this franchise, and I loved how it felt very stripped down, even with the tech that's on display, which is actually pretty interesting. Seriously, some of the tech you're like, oh, I'm familiar with this, but then others you're thinking, a shield? That's cool. So there's a lot of different elements to this Predator that makes it very unique and in a category of its own. And when it comes to the kills, they are the most brutal yet. I literally grimaced at times, and thank goodness I didn't eat a full meal before watching this movie. I can just think of a few things off the top of my head. There's Predator with the bear, there's Predator with the wolf, and with the people in the forest, and okay, the list goes on. But it's just so excellent, and don't worry fans, the Predator POV shots were not used often, but when they were, I loved it. They were so unique compared to the previous iterations that we've gotten. So we got a great cast, some amazing direction, and a lot of good things behind the scenes technically speaking, but what about the rest of the film? Well, there's maybe like one negative I can think of, so let's transition into my negatives. The list is not long compared to the positives, because guys, I truly love this movie. However, there's maybe one element that didn't work all the way, and that is found in the film's third act with these French trappers that Naru gets introduced to. It's a very late moment in the film, and even though these characters aren't around for long, I will tell you that it felt a little jarring. I mean, there was a little bit of a hiccup in the pacing with this moment, but I understand why they introduced it. I just don't think it was one of my favorite elements of the film. However, it shifts out of that and gets right back to Naru versus the Predator all over again. So thankfully we don't get stuck with them too long, because I felt like they were probably the weakest group in the film. And guys, that's all I have for my negatives, because overall, I absolutely loved Prey, and it is one of my favorite movies of the year. As it stands right now, it is in my top 10. I was blown away by how much this movie delivered. It didn't just give us a good Predator movie, it gave us a good movie on its own, and that's something that I think is incredible, because a lot of sequels, prequel films for long-standing franchises like Predator, sometimes things go awry. They don't necessarily go well in the final product, but Prey was everything I wanted and much more. Honestly, my expectations were, okay, yeah, I think this is going to be a good film. It far exceeded that, and it did above and beyond what I even thought this film could have done. I can't stop raving about this film, and I mean, Amber Midthunder, that is, for me, the biggest takeaway here. She's someone who is actually playing a character that is making me want to go and rewatch this in the Comanche dub, because they did both dubs. They did an English track and they did a Comanche dub track, which all the actors returned for. So I'm going to go and rewatch this, and who knows, guys, maybe, just maybe, 20th Century Studios decides to do a limited theatrical run for Prey, Prey, and I would go out in the theater and see it because it's that good. This is not only just a good summer film, this is a good movie, you guys. I highly recommend this, and if I had to rate it out of 5, I give it 4.5 Predators out of 5. The half, well, you'll watch the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. Guys, again, thanks so much for sticking it with me and hearing me rave about Prey. But let me know down below in the comments when you see this movie on August 5th on Hulu, what you think. Do you agree with me? You disagree with me? Or are you kind of in the middle? Let me know down below in the comments. And hey, if you haven't already, hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel and hit that thumbs up, because guys, I want to keep doing more reviews like this, optimistic ones, but every now and then we get movies like. But guys, I'm so excited to go ahead and get into the rest of this month, and I can't wait for much more, y'all. I'm seeing Day Shift this week. We got a lot, bodies. Oh, so much to come on the channel, and we're doing a lot of YouTube shorts. I know you guys have been loving those. Alrighty, y'all. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening. And yes, okay, I get it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disrespect you at the beginning of the review. No, put it down. Put it down.